Good morning. How did you get on yesterday? Day off for me. Good performance from Perry. Como getting an equaliser against Cagliari. We never know with these newly promoted sides whether they'll sink or swim, but it's there in the market. Given a shout. And this was what you expect of Juventus. So for me, this tells me something notable about Napoli, that they might be a little pants. 3-0 win for Verona against Napoli in their opener, but Juventus convincingly beating Napoli, convincingly beating Verona. This suggests that Napoli are way under par for the second consecutive season. Simeone up front, Politano, Kvaratskhelia. So they're missing Osimhen, aren't they? Victor Osimhen, big miss. I don't know the first 11 for Napoli, which is a pity. So I don't know the strength of this particular side. That's Simeone's son up front. So an interesting result that. It can tell you a lot about Napoli. They might not be trustworthy this season. Villarreal are doing what they did in their opener, allowing their opponent to score a couple of goals, but without losing. Oh no, yes it was Atletico Madrid, 2-2, 2-1 and a 4-3 win. Full of goals, both teams to score. Wow. Yellow Submarine, are they under new management? I mean, Celta Vigo, they've even got Julio Iglesias in the side, and they still couldn't get through. Good stuff. Parejo, a 100th minute winner. So had I been up and about for this, potential to lay these 3-3s late on, limited liability, and you'd have absolutely cleaned up. Delay. Villarreal, Yellow Submarine, could be a side to follow this season. They look to be chock full of goals, and they look to see both teams score as well. So touch the old Kevin Keegans about this. We'll score one more than you. Freiburg and Lyngby, as you expect, 1.57 favourite. Was it 0-0 at half time? Because that would have been a ready angle. A missed penalty. Aboubakari. These people should automatically get sacked from being professional footballers. You're missing a penalty. Bergi, so you could have laid the draw second half, arguably, all dependent on the in-play stats first half, coming into the second. And it looked as if, throughout the match, Lyngby were the dominant force, but this is probably very telling. 14 shots off target. So, dominant attacking display, but Mr. Magoo up front. Just a gentle reminder to you about the professional development and the Premier League too. A tendency to over 2.5 goals. Not quite as emphatic as the last time this league was out, where every single match was over 2.5 goals. But we've got if you watch the video at youtube.com, the live stream from the weekend, from Sunday, you'll see some attempts to play or to formulate a strategy for overs. Over 1.5 goals would be my preferred method if we can get it to 1.7 or 1.8. But this is far too early. But this would have been good for over 2.5 goals. The inference from the market being, yeah. But as a delay tactic, I like to wait 15 minutes. You saw in the live chat webinar on Sunday, just waiting 15 minutes can double the odds for overs. And the higher up you go, the greater the change. This is what you're after, isn't it? 3 goals before half-time, but no delay, no ability to get on early. So it's up to you. Do you get on straight away or do you delay? Again, 10 minutes would have missed the opportunity. And anyway, 82nd minute second goal would have had you a little bit scuppered as a trader. You're waiting and waiting. And this was 2 second half goals. So dependent on the record of these two and the in-play stats, you could have backed over 1.5 goals at the beginning of the second half for this particular match at pretty decent odds. And hopefully you get an early goal and you'll be able to cash out just with that goal. You're going to see a significant drop because you're half the way there rather than being only a third the way there in the second half for over 2.5 goals. SJK and Gniston. Good result for Gniston this. Insurance would have paid out if you trusted SJK. That's the name I go by when I'm playing football. Fatty. So insurance would have been the way to play this one, had you trusted SJK. And this would have been a match to research in play, because I'm not going to be doing these leagues at this stage of the season. Red Star and Ajaccio. I think Red Star newly relegated or newly promoted. Good result for them, but far too early in the season for me to have any tradable position here. But well worth watching. And Olympiakos, a good result for Athens Kallithea, keeping it very tight. Not quite what you expect of a 1.14 shot, is it? But again, a little bit of delaying. How long are you going to delay for these shorties? Because we're expecting a goal before half time for a 1.14 shot, aren't we? So, interesting. Dependent on what the odds were at the beginning of the second half. What were the over 1.5 goal odds looking like at the beginning of the second half? That would be another question to possibly answer. Again, faith in the odds. Certainly, if this lot score over 2.5 goals is almost guaranteed, because you're expecting a win from Oli. So you could have laid the draw second half after the 1-1. You're expecting a 3-0, 3-1, any other home score. But it is an Athenian derby. That's probably why it was so tight. All hail to the Ale. Side well worth following this season. Hapoel Beersheva laying the draw second half, 71st minute winner. I traded the Aroni Tiberius Cup match involving Hapoel, and it was very well played by them. Even though they lost the match, it's what happens in play that's important. Eredivisie, over 2.5 goals league again. Let's see if there is any delay to increase the odds. Indeed, look at that first half. So, given the reputation of the league, there's a potential for an over 1.5 goals if it's 1.7 or 1.8 at the beginning of the second half. Just based on the reputation of the league, you can back that up by looking at the in-play stats. 12 goal attempts, 4 on 8 off, 7 corners for the first half, for the whole match. So there's a big slant towards young AZ. And Telstar, dependent on when the goals were scored. Again, 27-minute delay. So you'd have been looking at, for me, over 1.5 goals after 20 minutes. Has it increased to 1.7 or 1.8? You can get a very, very swift trade out. Obosligan, no great interest yesterday. Stabæk and Asani. Did Asani score first against the odds-on favourites? Indeed, they did. So there's a possible trade there. You did get a late equaliser. And, Start losing to Raufoss. This is typical of this league. You're going to get some shock results. So again, I don't know if I'd have played the overs at the beginning of the second half. That could be an alternative to laying the draw second half. Corona Kielce odds on winning. Spanish La Liga 2. Just keep an eye on this league as it progresses through the season. Allsvenskan, no great appeal yesterday. And the Superettan as well. A notable over 2.5 goal Superettan. Trabzonspor postponed. And on to today, and it's a very busy day today. I like the EFL Cup. Very exciting. I've done a full research for you, but its first leg is vital. 2-3. This is what I like to see. An odds-on favourite at home who need to score. That's the configuration I like to see. Salzburg and Dynamo Kiev. 2-0 lead for Red Bull Salzburg. Dynamo Kiev must score the first 2 goals. Not favoured to. Salzburg are at home. So this is the ideal position for Salzburg to be in, to have a lead from the away leg. Sparta Prague and Malmo. 2-0 to Sparta from the first leg. And they're still favoured in this second leg. Malmo were in battling mood at the weekend. And they did get us a 2-2. But it's a typical underperformance pre-Europe. Similar story for Sparta as very strong odds-on favourite. Look at this, 1-2 down by half-time. And they could only equalise via a penalty, 1.385. You know the reason why they underperform at the weekend. Both of these two sides was because of this match, distracting them. Mallorca and Sevilla. Mallorca will be mightily impressed with keeping Real Madrid quiet in their opener, 1-1. But a 1-0 loss to Osasuna. It's going to be the gremlins of last season for Mallorca, where they were solid at home. They could quite simply win at home, but away from home, picking up a whole raft of defeats and draws. Sevilla, an unknown quantity so far, but they have conceded 4 goals in 2 matches, including 2 against Las Palmas, the newly promoted side, I think from a couple of seasons ago, the Islanders. Now, both teams to score pattern for Sevilla. They're a tough side to quantify. I think they've run out of money. If you look at the transfers they haven't made, you'll see that's significant. I would be giving Mallorca a chance here in what is likely to be a very tight match indeed. I think they could keep Sevilla to a single goal. Rayo Vallecano and Barcelona. Let's have a look at this one. Well, Rayo 0-0 against Getafe in the last match and a 1-2 win against Real Sociedad. That is impressive. That came away from home as well. So they'll be delighted with that. Barcelona beat Atletico Bilbao 2-1 and they beat Valencia 2-1. So 1 goal in, it wins. Very tight encounters. Who are they relying on? Well, it's the old Polish superstar, and it did only take a penalty. So there might be some issues up front with Barcelona. Sancet and Lewandowski again. So we've got to see Robert Lewandowski playing. He's already scored 3 goals in 2 matches, and they've been vital goals in 1 goal in it matches. So he must be playing this evening if Barca are to have any chance against Rayo Vallecano. 3 goals in 2 for Robert Lewandowski. The Austrian Cup, I've put it on the star list to watch. It'll have to be in-play stats only. But we've got some familiar names. Swarovski Tyrol, Austria Klagenfurt et al. St. Pölten from one of the big leagues as well in Austria. Let's just go here, where I've listed all of the matches of interest and some of the results. EFL Cup. It's been a very tradable competition, this EFL Cup. We made £120 plus on Derby and Rotherham the last time it was out and about. It's got to be a very strong in-play stats bias, this one today. We've got lots of odds on favourites. You see a whole raft of them at home, all going all the way down to Everton. Now, this is psychologically important for Everton. They've had 2 tonkings in the Premier League, failing to score. A bit like Wayne Rooney's Plymouth when they played, I think it was Cheltenham. They had to win. Everton are at home, have to win under the new manager. Regardless of competition, it's psychologically important that they get a win under their belts as early as possible in the start of a new season. They failed to score in the Premier League. They've been tonked in 2 matches in the Premier League. So psychologically, this is a vital home win to keep the team and keep the manager on the supporters' side. Leicester against Tranmere. If I was Leicester, I'd get the bleep out of this cup and my focus would remain on staying up in the Premier League. That's where the money is. Don't want a Mickey Mouse Cup. Palace against Norwich. Another one of those psychologically important games. Crystal Palace, under the new manager, are nowhere near what they were at the back end of last season. They've only scored 1 goal. Yes, they've both been London derbies, so arguably fair enough. But it's woeful display so far, and this is another psychologically important match because the Palace supporters are going to be on his back. Must show a result here. So I like this competition. English Professional Development League, yet again, you've got an overs slant or an overs bias to it. I'm going to try to see if I can capture some of these. Experiment using simulation mode to see whether we can do some over 1.5 goal. That would be my preferred trading. If I can get it at 1.8 at any stage in a match where the in-play stats are suggesting plenty of shots on and off target, we might have the recipe for an overs trading strategy. Stuttgart against Preußen Münster in the DBF Pokal. This is a Bundesliga side. Stuttgart, they're expected to get the better. It has been a very, very tradable league competition, the DBF Pokal, particularly for Bundesliga favourites. They have tended to come from behind to get the win or start scoring second half. We've had nearly 100% strike rate favouring the Bundesliga sides. Italian Serie B, Sassuolo, newly relegated. Not favoured, are they? Not really favoured today. Some other familiar names, Salernitana as well, newly relegated. They are at home and they're playing a Sampdoria side who are a shade of the side they used to be. So Serie B, again, it's worth watching. I will just keep tabs on it. It's probably best to be played a bit later on in the season. You can tell it's a very tough coupon today. 2.38, 2.65, 2.6, 2.15, 2.2, 2.55, 2.6. The market's quite simply given up on Italian Serie B. Can't read any of these matches. So take the hint. Kongsvinger, well, I wouldn't trust them with stolen money. This is a league leader in the Oberliga who recently were playing 15th in the league. At home, as a 1.33 favourite. You can guess the result, of course. An emphatic win for Asani. Okay. Same odds as today. 15th in the league. Top of the league. What on earth's going on there? So, talk about Arthur Daly. A little dodgy, maybe. Kongsvinger, stay away. Super Etten, no great interest, particularly at those odds. It's a coupon of promise today, isn't it? At least we've got second legs to work off in the Champions League. The La Liga match is eminently readable. An over-reliance on Robert Lewandowski. Watch out if he gets injured. And nobody else really digging out the goals. He scored 3 out of 4 and they've been vitally important goals. So he must be on the pitch if Barcelona are in another 1-1. Mallorca, I suggest, could strangle the life out of Sevilla defensively and have a chance at a 1-0. They were incredibly impressive at home against Real Madrid. Sevilla are a shade of the side they used to be. EFL Cup can produce some wonderful trades, so that would be well worth watching. And we've got some Premier League teams, as I've said, Crystal Palace and Everton, having a woeful start to the season domestically in their league. Will be keen to get the first win under their belts, just to assuage the support. So it's a very full coupon today, a coupon of promise. So I hope to be up and about for you a bit later on. I'm not really looking forward to the kickoff times. You add 6 hours to that, you will see my enthusiasm suddenly wane. But I'll be up and about. I think we'll get a trade or two out of these today. So have a great day. Don't forget the US Open. If you are going to trade the US Open, we can go to the opening day and just do some retrospective trading. So let's have a look. Don't forget the 2-0 to 2-1 or the 2-1 to 2-2. You've got it here. Somehow they magically win the third set because otherwise they're out. It's a continuous pattern. Generally speaking, we're not talking about very short odds favs. Great second set win for Marta, again against a fellow German. Arguable, you could have laid Zverev on the basis that he's playing a fellow German, and it's very, very low odds. You've got to lay at these odds. You've simply got to. Look at this, Ramos nearly taking the first set, 7-6, but it went the other way. So laying at ultra short odds, you saw Swiatek go down at I think 1.05. So it does happen. Papirin I like. I can't see any trades really. 1.01, again, Taylor nearly getting undone in the first set. But these lays have to be done because one day you're going to get that upset. and life will be rosy. Game 1 feast. Well, I expected a bit more from Schwartzman. Indeed, we got it in the first set, but this is just emphatic stuff. Likely he's not a patch on his old self. So all the ultra shorties delivering yesterday, which was a pity. But this is the kind of angle you're looking at. Yes, he's an Aussie. That's probably why they're battling. Winning the first set, losing the second, and he goes through. Unbelievable, Jeff. But this is the trade you're looking at backing Davidovich Fokina, excuse my French, to win the second set. That's your trade. But an incredibly impressive result for Hijikata. This is why I like focusing on Aussies. They've just got that mentality, apart from breakdancing, of course. But in the tennis, they're very good indeed. Any shorties in trouble? Kalinina, Badoza, all delivering. 4 o'clock starts for the US Open. And like I do with all of the other Grand Slams, you pick your battles pre-match. Just instinctually, what do I fancy? Well, I like Aussies, so I like Thompson there. I'm not sure about Auger-Aliassime. Can't really trust him. Hubert Hurkacz at short odds in the French Open did deliver, and he did get in trouble now and again, but came back famously. He was 2 sets down and actually won the match. David Goffin, it's very tough to read. I don't think he'll be winning 3-love though. Stefanos Tsitsipas playing Tennessee Kokkinakis, mate. Stroke, mate. We've got that Greek-Australian, mate. Stroke. Where's me badgy smugglers, mate? So this could be a tighter affair. Stefanos Tsitsipas has thrown in the odd wobbler. He's one of those players who, once you fancy him, put your money down, he falls apart. But this is the US Open. I think the Greek factor could see this as far more competitive than 1.33 suggests. The best trading angle for me would be to lay Tsitsipas if he wins the first set, where you'd have a very low odds entry point. I think Karen Khachanov would be too much for Danny Evans, who might take a set off him. Foggy was impressive in France, but he's not expected to deliver today. But I did like what I saw of him. He was back to his old self. Elsewhere, Yannick Sinner, 1.01, must be laid. De Minaur, old Hitler haircut. Still got that Hitler haircut. Fantastic stuff from De Minaur there. 1.29 favourite, trustworthy Australian as well. Battler. Daniil Medvedev, 1.04, got to be laid right at the off. Or if he wins the first set, even better. Liability will be even lower. Purcell and Vukic, possibility of a 5-setter here with a couple of Aussies playing each other. Jack Duckworth as well. He might make Caboli sweat. So some good men's game, but my focus now is predominantly on the football. Don't forget, it's called footballtradingprofits.com. The reason I followed tennis in the summer was because we only had the Norwegian lower tiers to work with in the football world. Katie Boulter did impress in a run-up to Wimbledon, but she can be a little flaky. We'll see what kind of a mood she's in against Sasnovich today. Don't forget the ladies' game is even more urgent. If you've lost the first set, you must win the second, otherwise you're out. Ponche against Zheng. I don't know anything about this Ponche. Zheng looks like she's off for a swim. Well, 143rd in the world at 1.07. Again, I wouldn't be backing her with stolen money, that's for sure. Kruger against Zhang. Might see a performance from the Chinese. Iga Swiatek, your usual very, very strong odds-on favourite. Wazza has been a battler, even as an underdog. She's got through a couple of matches as underdog, so she could be one to trust today. Working on down. That'll be about it. I think Karolina Pliskova a bit later on. Emma Raducanu, I couldn't trust her either, I'm afraid. the possibility of laying Raducanu if she wins the first set. Don't forget she's playing an American in the US Open. So that's a key factor as well. Have a great day. I will see you throughout the day on Telegram. I'm not going to be following the tennis, I'm afraid. It's just going to be football from now on. But you should have learnt a lot from the summer months. I don't know when it's going to start. 6 o'clock looks good. So I'll see you from about 6 o'clock onwards, or even earlier if we've got some earlier kickoffs. Have a great day.